This episode of Pan-América is brought to you by waterfalls.
We departed Vista for the second time, and upon the recommendation of our host, we headed straight for Parque Nacional Buruja. The park is named after a species of passion fruit, and it's at the end of a long and sandy and somewhat difficult road, and even though it was a bit of a slog to get there, it's my favorite park of the trip so far. Upon our arrival, we discovered that entrance and camping were free, and they also had Wi-Fi. And on top of that, the place was crawling with all kinds of neat creatures, including this tiny deer, the same as the kind we saw in the Animal Rehabilitation Center. And we also got our first good look at the world's largest rodent, the capybara. They're about the size of a dog, they have webbed feet, and they're excellent swimmers. And these individuals, at least, like many animals in the park, had very little fear of humans. And even more fearless were the local foxes, who appeared by the dozen every time a human sat down at a picnic table. We only spent one day exploring the park. We would have stayed longer if we hadn't run out of food.
So we stopped for lunch on the grassy banks of a little river here outside of the Parque Nacional Buruja. And there's a couple caiman.
Caiman are the native crocodilians of South America, and the largest one we saw was about 6 feet or 2 meters long, which is long enough to ensure that I never go near the water ever again. After we left the park, we came across another stretch of road that had just been fixed by a road grader. And shortly thereafter we had our second fall, which was slightly rougher than the first, after which I ended up doing the splits very painfully for the first time in my life. We also managed to break off the left side mirror. Unfortunately, there was enough thread left in the handlebar to screw it back in. And unfortunately for you all, I didn't manage to get the crash on film, so sorry for not being on top of things.
So what are we doing right now?
We are going on a dam tour.
We stopped off in Iguazu, and while we were there we went for a tour of the Represa Yasereta, which is probably the biggest dam I've ever seen. The dam straddles the border of Argentina and Paraguay, so technically I visited Paraguay for a second time, without paying the visa. And since I got to stand on Paraguayan soil not once but twice, I took the liberty of adding Paraguay's flag to the flag bag. Gabby says this is cheating, but I firmly believe that having physical contact with the actual country is what counts, not the legality of the encounter. Anyway, back to the dam. This thing is massive. It has 18 of these giant doors, which are designed to release 95,000 cubic meters of water per second, which is X times the amount of the maximum flow of Niagara Falls. I'll fill in the X later when I have time to look it up. We also got lucky and got to see this boat passing through the locks, which are necessary because one side of the dam the water is 24 meters higher than the other. Last but not least, we visited the Casa de Máquinas, which is the structure that houses the dam's 20 ridiculously large turbines, which combined can produce 20,700 gigawatt hours per year, which is more than enough to send several DeLoreans back in time. Also, as far as I know, this building is the largest interior space that I've ever been in. After Iguazu, we headed for the province of Misiones, which is called the Land of Red Earth because much of it is covered in horrible red mud, but it could just as easily be called the Land of Campgrounds and Waterfalls. Misiones itself is tiny compared to many other Argentinian provinces, but it has way more campgrounds and waterfalls per square whatever unit than any other place in Argentina. As we made our way north, we found a great variety of waterfalls, ranging from large and impressive to small and secluded. Eventually, after a couple days of camping and waterfalls, we made our way to Puerto Iguazu, which is located in the very north of Misiones, near the borders of Brazil and Paraguay.
Here we are in Argentina, that's Brazil, and that is Paraguay. The three borders, right here.
And while it's pretty cool to be able to stand in one place and see 3 countries, we came here to see a very specific part of the border between Brazil and Argentina.
We're in Parque Nacional Iguazu. It only cost us like, what, $55 to get in?
Yep.
And we're gonna go see some giant waterfalls. This is by far the most touristy thing we've done on the trip.
And I think I'm not going to get any bird.
We're just being shuttled along trails like cows. There's tons of people, lots of noise. Not a great environment to enjoy the nature.
No.
This is better. We're going against the flow.
Yeah.
All the other people are going to see Garganta del Diablo, or the Devil's Throat. We're just gonna go see the other part of the falls that no one's visiting right now.
Iguazu Falls ranks among the largest waterfalls in the world, and we happened to arrive there after 3 solid months of rain. So the spectacle with which we were greeted completely justifies the use of the words epic and awesome in its description. Here's a person working on one of the catwalks above the falls, which will hopefully help to convey the absolutely mind-boggling size of Iguazu. Even zoomed all the way out here, what you're seeing is probably between 20 and 30% of the falls. And as you can probably imagine, all this falling water is really, really loud. And even after all that, we still found the Garganta del Diablo, through which passes about half of the fall's flow, to be absolutely breathtaking. As you stand there on the edge, you can feel the ground shaking, and there's a constant drizzle of rain from the huge plumes of mist that are thrown into the air. And these turbulent winds created by the falls create a constant updraft, which the local vulture population are more than happy to take advantage of, as they wait to dine on any unfortunate creature that did not survive the sudden change in elevation in the river.
There's a group of coatis walking right past us.
There are more coming.
There's more of them. There's a whole family.
Oh, so cute.
Coatis are somewhat gregarious, usually travel in large groups. They're actually a member of the raccoon family.
And here in the park at least, they have absolutely no fear of humans, and will even go so far as to steal food directly from the hands of people who are eating, as we witnessed on at least one occasion. Also, it turns out they're excellent climbers, which this coati will kindly demonstrate for you right now. In addition to the coatis, we also saw a variety of monkeys in the park. And these absolutely spectacular birds, which are the South American version of the blue jay. Here's a fun fact. The few species of jays in South America are the only native corvids. There are no crows or no ravens native to South America. So we arrived in Puerto Iguazu, and we decided, rather than drive the motorcycle into Brazil and deal with all the paperwork, we'll just take a bus. So we'll see if we can get in. Hopefully we can get in.
Well, we're in Brazil. Brazil speaks Portuguese, not Spanish, so I have no idea what's going on in this entire city right now.
Me neither.
But we're in Brazil, so that's all that counts.
Even though it was only for a couple hours, I'm still putting a Brazil flag on the flag bag. Gabby says this is cheating too, but I maintain that physical contact with the country for any amount of time is grounds for a patch on the bag. Our last stop in Puerto Iguazu was another animal rehabilitation center. This one had in its care various animals that were all here for various reasons. Some were intercepted exotic pet traffic, and others were recovering from collisions with automobiles. And there were also some residents of the center who were not in cages. This is a red howler monkey, and apparently they just like to hang out here because it's a cool place. After our brief stay in Puerto Iguazu, we had had quite enough of the overly touristy atmosphere. So I, for one, was quite relieved when it was time to head out on the open road once again. That's all for now. Thanks everyone for all your support and encouragement, and as usual, if you have any questions or comments, please do let me know. We'll see you all next time.